Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome along to the Rangers Rabble podcast. This was supposed to be the member show. However, due to the news that has broken in the past hour or so, it's just going to be a standard podcast for everybody this evening for us to delve into. And with me to go over the breaking news and some other talking points this evening, I've got a stellar cast. Kerr, how are we?
I'm alright, Connor. I'm fine. Back at work the day after being off for a week, so back to normality now, but nah, I'm fine, thanks.
Happy days. And a man who has got one step closer to his bus pass today, Mark, how are we?
I'm no bad considering. I'm alright. Stuck out here for my birthday, so I'm surviving. Just part of the nature of the beast, I'm afraid.
Aye. I don't envy you there, that's for sure. And Robert, how are we doing?
Oh, that was a bit of an anticlimax. They get the big drum up, and I get and Robert. Cheers, mate. No, I'm good. Listen, glad to be on and talking Rangers once again. So I look forward to the next hour or so.
Happy days. Well, we'll get stuck right in then. As I said, about an hour ago, Rangers made the announcement that we were sort of expecting to be imminent. Connor Barron signed on a Bosman, as it were. I mean, Kerr, first of all, your overall reaction. Another sort of young up-and-coming player, Connor Barron. Certainly impressed in what was not a great season for Aberdeen last season, and a good signing.
Very good signing, Connor. I'm happy with it myself. Young guy, still at 2021. He can come straight into our team. I have no doubt he'll come straight into the starting 11. I think he's good enough. I think that's the reason we've signed him. It's not going to cost a lot of money. It's going to, if the clubs can't agree a fee, it goes to a tribunal, doesn't it? So I think it's going to break the bank. Was it a 4-year deal he got? So I'm happy with saying I think he'll do really well for us. And listen, I hope he does great and he wins a few trophies, and then we end up selling him for a good wad of money and moving on, because that's the way the club have to go. So it's a good signing. I think it's a great signing.
Yeah, that's a fair point Kerr makes there, isn't it, Mark? He's in on a four-year deal, a young lad, and obviously the hope being, the fact that we've got him for nothing, albeit there will be, I believe, some compensation to be agreed with Aberdeen. If you can, if we can mould him over the next 4 years and produce out of him a top player, then there's the potential there to show signs of that model succeeding.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with Kerr. It's a no-brainer. Absolute no-brainer. Young Scottish boy. Exactly what we're after. Profile-wise, defensive midfielder, half decent on the ball, can pick a pass here and there. He's probably not going to be great money. Brought him in for nothing. So, no-brainer. Absolute no-brainer at all. And he's Scottish. And I think probably, thinking about a bigger picture, you're looking at him as probably the least exciting. And as Kerr says there, he's probably the one that could possibly come straight into the side. 50 games for Aberdeen in a Scottish game. So, no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. I'm quite happy with it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Robert, in terms of him coming into the side, where do you kind of envisage him slotting in next season under Phil Clement? Is he somebody that, will be a starter from the off, or will he have to work his way into the starting lineup? What's your take on it?
Listen, I think it's a step up for him. He's going to have to adapt. I know he's done hard yards down the leagues as well. I think he was at Kelty and Cove maybe out on loan. I don't think he played an awful lot actually for Aberdeen. I think we 24 games last season, so it's not. When you come to Rangers, see if you're picking the best players from the leagues, their team. Sorry, I think they've got to be the best player in that team. So I think Connor Barron's still got a lot of potential, a lot of development to do, and it certainly seems to be fitting this player sort of profile. We're going for young players that maybe can punt on with a view to getting a bigger fee. So listen, delighted he's in. He's certainly, everyone that speaks highly of him. And from what I've seen of him, he's a decent enough player. It's just he's going to have to, as I say, step up another level when he comes to Rangers.
Yeah, you'd have to say that. I mean, obviously, Kerr, we're kind of we won't know 100% until, you know, nearer the start of the season what the actual midfield lineup is going to look like in terms of who's still going to be there, who's, you know, not going to be there. But, you know, what's the sort of main competition for him, do you reckon, coming into the squad that he's going to have to kind of deal with?
I think he could probably play well on some. I think he could settle in there no ball. I think that type of player, he moves the ball well, side to side, reads the game really well. He's got a good injury on him. He can ping a ball as well. Like Robert said, he's going to have to come in and show his worth a start, but I think he will be. I think we're going to have a very young side next season. The signings we're looking at and the players we're getting in, it's going to be a very, very young side we've got. So there's going to be a lot of players are going to get played maybe when they're not ready just because of the amount of players they're bringing in. But this is a chance for them all to make the next step. And young guys don't usually play without any fear. So hopefully he grabs his chance with both hands and takes it. But like I said, it's a good signing for us. I mean, there's other guys out there. People mention other players in Scotland, midfielders, but did it cost a bit more money because obviously in the contract, Connor Barron wasn't, so they're no brainer to go and get him.
Absolutely, Mark. And before I do come back to you, Cammy coming in there, gifting 5 Rabble podcast memberships. That's superb for you, Cammy, mate. Thanks very much. Much appreciated. And of course, anybody who wants to become a member, you can sign up should you wish to do so. But I think, you know, that's the thing. I think what Kerr said there, Mark, about I mean, is there sort of Ryan Jack 2.0 shades to this? You know, or does he strike you as I don't want to say a better player than Ryan Jack was at the time, but is there more potentially promise in him?
I think that's kind of putting the boy under pressure right off the bat, saying stuff like that. I think he's a young boy. He's 21. I can't put that kind of pressure on you. You want him to kind of feel his way into this side. Like Robert says, I don't think he's going to be a out and out starter. I think he will need to play his way into this side. But I think that when he gets his chance, he needs to take it. It's as simple as that. But I think you were saying there about who's going to be rivaling for a starting slot. As it stands at the minute, we've not got any defensive midfielders at the club. So you're realistically, I think that probably this is part of the bigger picture. I think bringing in young players. I think that we will bring in, I would say, at least another 1, maybe 2 defensive midfielders. I think we need it. I think we're so light there that you can't expect young boys at 20 and 21 to play for Rangers week in, week out. I think that's going to be part of this kind of rotation thing. I think young, exciting squad, but for me, I think that you need to ease off and don't be putting pressure on him with brandishing Ryan Jack's names next to him and saying, is he going to be better? Is he going to be this? Definitely get potential, the boy. But like I said, let's no put the weight of the world on his shoulders straight away. He's 2 minutes in the door. Let's give him a wee bit of time to grow. I think that's probably going to be the kind of mantra of the whole season, next season, I think, because we're obviously what we're doing is buying young boys.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. I think obviously the point I was going to make, Robert, is unfortunately because obviously he's came, you know, a young enough midfielder who's came for Aberdeen, the comparisons will be directly drawn between him and Ryan Jack. You know, and I totally agree with Mark. Obviously, you don't want to put that pressure on his shoulders. Of course, you don't. But it's an inevitability. But I just wonder, is there a positive sign there for you as well that, you know, we've spoke plenty of times about players that we could sign for other clubs in the league, and there often tends to be that sort of bit of pushback coming for the supporters and almost a snobbery about signing players for the league. Is it a good sign that as a club that we're still showing we are more than prepared to go out there and bring in these talented young players who have got that experience in the Scottish League?
Absolutely, because I must say, looking at the January window, I thought that the Nils Coppin and the manager were probably looking out with our own league. So it does show that they're keeping their eye on the players within the division. Just in terms of a yardstick, I think you would always say the club he's leaving, are their fans sad to see him go or happy to see him go? And it sounds like they're sad to see him go. So that would tell me we're getting some sort of player, albeit there you go there. Albeit, you know, they class Rangers as our rivals, and That'll be part of it. But it'll be sad to see a player of his quality going for a nominal fee as well. So or compensation, as it were. So I think you're talking about players that play in that position. It's Raskan for me that may be the one that's going to have to up his game. He didn't have a great season at all, so it brings competition in for him, which can only be good for him. And then you look at Michael Beale's favourite that never played, Bailey Rice. Where does it leave him in all of this? Because we never see any of him, and he was meant to be the next up and coming thing, especially that he could play. So there's plenty to it. I do think, like Mark says, there's going to have to be some sort of experience brought in at some point. Whether we're saving that for later on in the window when we're waiting for the Euros to finish and other targets that we be keeping our eyes on, I don't know. But certainly at the moment, all the players we're linked with seem to be under 25, which is great. Absolutely, we want young players. We want them to have that potential to sell on and make a couple of loads of money. However, it's trying to blend them all together. It's like with young players, you get 3 good games and 2 bad ones, so it's trying to balance that. So the manager will have a job in his hands right for the off.
He's certainly will, and care. I'm going to throw this to you here, right? Because obviously part of it is going to be the manager's going to have to, coach him well and help him with the pressures that come at Rangers. Connor Barron referenced himself about, he knows coming to Rangers is about winning games and winning trophies, and that's the expectation here. And the fans are, as we know, we can be merciless if players have an off game or two. So Comer's going to have to help balance that, because just to throw it right, when you look at this as an example, so you've got one commenter here, Gary, saying he thinks Barron will be a sensation at us, and then conversely, Socrates saying that we've signed Barron but we've nowhere to play him. It's a usual Rangers fuck up. That's the kind of stuff he's going to have to, help Conor Barron to be able to deal with.
And I think just in Socrates' defence, I think he means nowhere to play us in. The stadium's not going to be ready for the first couple of weeks of the season.
Yeah, it's not. I understand that. I'm using that as an example of the usual discourse that happens within Rangers fans. Thanks, Robert. I know how to do my job, mate, but I appreciate it. As I was saying here, that discourse that's there within Rangers fans where, on one hand, you're delighted with this, on the other hand, there's this other usual pressure where a club like Aberdeen, it's much of a nothingness to a club like that, whereas here, he's going to have to deal with the sublime to the ridiculous.
It's football fans in general, but as you know, our support were bipolar. Listen, we've got fans saying we need a lot of younger players coming in the door, so that's what managers try to do. And we're getting folks saying too many young players coming through, we need to buy some experience. But last season we've got enough experienced players, we need to give the young guys a chance. So it's always going to be the same. It doesn't the club go one way, the fans go the opposite, and except they're looking for stuff to be criticised about. Listen, I don't look at a guy's age. I don't get this. He's only 20, 21. He should be coming in and settle. Play him. If he's good enough, you play him. Doesn't matter what his age is. And if the manager bring him in there, and he's obviously giving them kind of some guarantee to say, if you want to start, if you're consistent enough and you perform, you start for me. Because I think he's other offers. So I think that's why he's chosen to come to Rangers. It's season that he's staying in Scotland, maybe family wise, but there's other offers out there. And I think the manager will give a lot of the younger guys a chance this season, because he's going to have to amount to sell. Listen, I don't want a lot of these young guys coming through the door and still be here in 4, 5, 6 years' time. That's not what I want to happen. I want these young guys to come in, win some trophies, play some good football, and then we sell them for a fortune, and then we can rebuild, and then we can go again. That's the way the club have to look at it. You look at Chelsea. Last season, they got a great squad of players, but they're all young guys. And probably a lot of folks said they lacked experience. But we're slightly different. We've still got some experience here. And they might bring in one or two, as we've been linked with guys a bit older. But I think he's going for these ones first because they're the easier signings to make, as I know, but the Euros are still on. Folk might still be in their contract or away on holiday, stuff like that. So I think the more experienced ones will come later on. But he's going for the younger signings at the moment, which he seems to be happening quite quickly for us.
He does, but the thing is, Mark, that I suppose is an impressive thing for me about Conor Barron. It's clear that he wanted to come to Rangers, because, as was touched on there, I think Robert referenced, he had other offers, obviously, Italy, where Aberdeen would have preferred him to go, because if he'd left to go abroad, they were getting, I think, £500,000 as a compensation fee. He also had offers with down south as well for the Championship with the likes of Stoke City and Cardiff, and for all reports I was reading, it seems like he was determined that he wanted to come to Rangers, and that's what you want. You want that hunger. You want players that actually want to come and play for this club.
I think that's massive as far as I'm concerned. But the fact that he's Scottish as well, that he knows what the club is all about, he knows what the league is all about. So for me, that's all plus signs. The fact that he wants to come is a massive plus sign as well. So, like I said, an opening gambit, it's a no-brainer. It really is a no-brainer. If they can kick on, then that's even better. As I said, talking about the fact that they maybe bring in some experience. I think that probably this season, looking at things, I think that we're going to need it, but I don't think we're going to bring a lot of experience. I think the experience is going to be like maybe the odd 26-year-old. I don't think we're bringing in anybody at 30 or 32 or anything like that. But it looks like things he's trying to get rid of a lot of the kind of older fraction. So for me, it's going to be I think it's going to be a transitional season, and I know a lot of us don't want to hear that, but I think that's the way it's looking, especially with the kind of profiles that we're looking at transfer wise as well. All of them are under 25. All of them, most of them are closer to the 20 mark. So when you bring in a lot of young players, you're going to get inconsistency. So I don't know if Rangers fans have got the patience for this season. I really don't.
Well, listen, that's a fair point Mark makes there, isn't it, Robert, about that patience side of things, because we're not the most patient, and I think the reality is, obviously, we've seen them lift 3 titles in a row now, and there will be a real desperation out there to try and wrestle that back, the league title for him this season, and these young boys coming in will bear the brunt of that weight upon their shoulders to do that. But I think Mark's got a fair point to say that you do have to allow a bit of patience as well and give them that time.
Listen, it's a wonderful rallying cry from Mark, and he's been, I know he was saying the same thing halfway through this season as well, but it's the West of Scotland, it's Rangers, you do not get time. They're going to have to adapt to the weight of expectation. They're going to have to adapt to it being 0-0 after 10 minutes and a misplaced pass gets moaned and groaned and huffed and puffed. There's going to be a lot of change from where the clubs are coming from. They'll have never experienced anything like it. So it's about how, as much as their ability and their potential, it's more so about mentality at this football club and how you manage that. So that'll make or break them ultimately, and whether define whether they're going to go on to be a great player or get another one that's going to get chewed up by the machine. So we'll wait and see. Listen, I think it's positive, in terms of what we're bringing in. We knew there was going to be 10, maybe 12 incomings. Or what, that's number 4, is it? I think number 5 is pretty much in the pipework. 6 could closely follow, and they're all young guys. So, no, it's exciting. We're getting our business done nice and early. It seems to be a nice steady steam coming in. So, no, all systems go. But yeah, as you say, a great cry for patience, and we'll try our best, but I don't hold out much hope.
I mean, yeah, and Kerr, I'll put this point to you. Lockeye coming in with a £20 super chat. Superb, Lockeye. Thanks very much. So he's saying that Come can only do the best with what he gets to spend. Fair point. If the signing policy is youth, then should we expect to see more graduates in the first team squad next season? And who would be the ones you would pick? I mean, what'd you make to that then, Kerr? Do you think we all see more of the younger academy players getting an opportunity throughout the campaign next year?
Depends what he brings the pros in for, but I think Cole McKinnon should be involved more. I'm a big advocate of Cole. I think Cole's good enough to play first team football at Rangers. He just needs a chance and more consistency, game time. Robbie Fraser showed up quite well. I think Ross McCausland's good enough for us to be a bit inconsistent. But I think we want a game near the end of the season again. But like Robert says, sometimes the young guys get a bit of leeway, but sometimes they don't. And I felt that was with Ross. Ross scared it in the net quite hard, but sometimes I don't know why. It's like, I don't know, because he's a Rangers fan, he maybe got it worse. I don't really know why he got it, but we have to give the young guys a chance. Some will buckle, some won't. It just depends on their temperament, like yourself. Some will hide and they don't want to make a mistake in case they do get abused, but some will say, fuck you, I don't care if I make a mistake, I'm going to try that next pass again, because that's the arrogant you've got to have in the football park. You have to go into a football park and shut yourself off the crowd and think you're the best player on the park, no matter who you are. it's only way forward. You look at Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham's the same age as some of the guys we're signing. Yet we've got folks saying, put him out on loan, put him here. Jude Bellingham was at Birmingham when he was 16. He tired their shot and everybody laughed. Look at him now. He's the world stage Champions League winner, winning the Euros. So there's guys out, I'm not saying there's guys out there like him, but there's guys out there that can go the exact same journey as he has. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of young talent out there. It's just getting its chance. And if there's some talent in our academy, then we've got to give him the chance. It's one, it saves his money, and two, it can make his money in the long run. But like I said, McCannon, Fraser, I mean, Bailey Rice has always been mentioned, but Bailey needs to be training with the first team first and foremost, and he needs to show the manager. I don't know what it's like behind the scenes. Leon King, I think his time's passed. I don't know why. I just feel Leon has to move on for his own benefit. Same with McCrory, the goalkeeper. No, Aberdeen were interested, but obviously they've signed somebody else, so I'm be going back for McCrory. But Devine's another one. I don't know if he's going to come in. But like I say, McCannon, I think it's a no-brainer for me, and Ross McCausland and Robbie Fraser. I think they three. But listen, signing these young guys, I'm happy. Also, it could all backfire after the second game. I'm sitting here saying to you, why do you sign these young guys? They're rotten. But that's like a football fan, isn't it? We criticise and we build them up and we knock them down when they're poor. But listen, experienced guys go through the same thing. You sign somebody with turn a game under their belt and come to Ibrox and buckle. It doesn't matter what age you are, it's temperament and if you think you're good enough. So I'm looking forward to the season, but I do agree with that with Matt. I think next season they may have to sit back and take some stuff in the chin just to see how we're building. Because I think what he's trying to do is what we want. You don't want to be going buying guys for English Championship League 1 at 27, 28 and stuff like that. I'm liking what he's doing, so maybe I'd take a step back to see how we go.
Yeah, I mean, Mark, on the issue of the patient side of things that you're talking about, is part of that potentially a sort of a part of that fallout for the fact that I think last season at this time of the year when we were seeing all the signings, floating in the door, we maybe got ourselves a bit over excited for what was to come because the expectation just seemed to rise and rise with every signing that we made. And there seemed to be an air of real excitement in there. Whereas I think this one with the signings we've made, it seems to be a bit more level-headed and a bit more sort of tapered off a bit. Is that maybe that is a sign that we're getting a bit more patient, although the season hasn't started yet?
I'm just laughing there. It's Rangers fans getting carried away with signings. It's never going to happen. I'll never catch on with it. No, I think probably it's a wee bit a case of once bitten, twice shy. Everybody just kind of jumped on we're buying players for Serie A and we're looking at this and we're looking at that and we just all get excited. And you know what? Rightly so. You're bringing new players in. You get excited about players signing for your club and hoping that they're going to do well and optimism for the start of the season and looking to kick on. So, I mean, I've been one of the worst for it. As I said, I get carried away with it as well myself. So I'm trying to kind of rein myself in a wee bit this year, and hopefully the players that we're bringing in. My only kind of worry is that it's a lot of young players. It's a lot of players that are not really tried and tested. It's a lot of players that we're spending kind of bits and bobs on rather than we're going out and spending money. So, I mean, I think we're the opposite side of the spectrum where we were at spending 4s and 4.5s and 5s and 6s on Brazilians for. Do you know what I mean? It's. I think we've went full circle, and now we're trying to be clever. We're trying to be smart. We're trying to unearth a gem here and there. And I think probably Klopp and his scouting network quite clearly have been tried and tested in Holland. So we're hoping that. I mean, listen, there's a lot of these boys that are going to come in and probably not going to make it, not going to be what we want them to be. Which is part and parcel of the game. I mean, you could spend 30 million, look at 35 million for Silva, and he's not what you wanted, and he's not hit the ground running. So I think that you're hoping that maybe, for talking's sake, that the kind of low averages, maybe 60%, 70%. I mean, if you're talking 75% of these boys that come in or kick on, then that's a great bit of business, and you'll get your money back tenfold. But I think that's something that I know patience, but as I said, we're kind of the opposite side of the spectrum. And to be fair, as I said to you boys before we come on, this is what we should have been doing years and years ago. Proper scouting network, guy that knows the market, knows elsewhere. I mean, look at some of the places we're looking at: South America, Romania, Morocco. So, and all of us are kind of a wee bit scared of that because we're used to Championship, we're used to Serie A, we're used to, do you know what I mean? We're used to players that are in the opposite spectrum of that, and it's obviously the unknowns probably making us all take a wee bit of a step back. So, listen, I think that optimistic's probably the best way to go with this. As I said, if even 50% of these young boys come in and turn a trick and become the players that we all hope they will be, then I think we'll all be over the moon. But as I said, the patience isn't really in the Rangers fans' vocabulary, is it?
Well, no, that is true. We're not exactly renowned, Robert, for being the patient types, and a couple of comments coming into that effect as well. KW there coming in, you know, are we really going to take the real come on mentality if he's building for the future? Followed up by Nicholas posing the question, Robert, would you be patient enough to wait for come on to build a team that can win a league year in, year out if it takes a few barren years? From my point of view, to be honest with you, I don't think we would be patient enough to wait a few barren. I think, you know, Steven Gerrard was probably the last manager that would, you know, gets that kind of time to build properly. And we all know it took him 3 years. So, I mean, what do you make of that, Robert? Would you know, is come on in danger if we do have, as Nicholas says, you know, potentially barren years, and could we be falling out with him if that's his mentality?
Listen, I don't want to turn this into negativity. I get hammered for being negative last time I was on here, but see if you don't beat Celtic first game of the season and you go up to the New Year game and you lose that, and you've had a month or 2 months of Phil Clement telling you Phil Clement telling you, oh, we've got a young team, and just keeps hammering on about all these young players. You're going to get sick to the back teeth of it. So I don't think you're going to get barren years because he's not going to be given that much time. It's just know that it's not how football works these days. You mentioned Gerrard, and he was very fortunate to get as long as he did, and obviously it came off in the end. But I don't see Clement getting a load of time. If we're, you know, a loads of points behind come the January window, and we're not playing good football, and we're out of Europe, there'll be people, you know, losing their patience, Mark, sadly, and I'll probably be at the front of the queue because, you know, last season was torture, absolute torture. You know, and I hate sort of saying we don't want to play this, we don't want to play that, but Europe can just be parked. We need to start winning domestic titles again and consistently. It's no good just saying, oh, we won 55, let's get 56. No, we want to win 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row and build successful teams, dynasties, as I think you would call them. So are you going to do that with a team full of 20-year-olds? Who knows? You don't know, do you? It's going to come down to, again, their mentality, how they pick up in the city, how they buy into the club, how the other players like Leon Balogun's and you know, sort of slip in and you know, get their arm around them and see if they can get them playing. So it's a massive season. They're all massive seasons. I know we say this at the start of every season, they're all massive seasons, but I just don't think you're going to be afforded that time. You're not going to get, you know, years to build a side unless he's been given assurances in the back. But I just can't see the support buying into that. I really can't.
I don't know what's going on with your pronunciation, by the way, Robert. You've made Steven Gerrard a bit more exotic there. Gerrard?
Gerrard? That would call him so. I've had a nightmare. I've had an absolute nightmare.
I mean, it's not Gerrard Houllier we're talking about here. Aye, well, listen, you know,
Paul Le Guen, there you go.
I've been Paul Le Guen, aye. I suppose it's no Libor Sionko that Philip Clement signed or anything like that, you know what I mean? But, yeah, look, I think, obviously, Kerr, we have to kind of wait and see what happens. Listen, you know, we all know that Alan Hansen once said that you can't win anything with kids, and he was proven wrong. So, you know, it is, I mean, I listen, I agree with Mark unashamedly in this. I think this is the stuff we should have been doing years ago. And this is a kind of, because when you look at that player trading model that Ross Wilson said he was wanting to bring back into the club, that's how you do it. you bring these young guys in and you develop and you mould them into better players, and you get good money back by turning them over. And that is the model now that it looks like Coppin and Clermont are going under. So I mean, I am personally, cautiously optimistic, I'd say, for the future of this model, Keir.
The problem with Ross Wilson was he didn't operate in that market previously. When he was at previous clubs, it was like Europe he would operate in. So when he came to us, he operated in the same market. Obviously, Coppin's operated in these markets before, so he knows the players. He's got contacts here, so it just depends where your contacts are. And obviously, he knows a lot of. Plus, we're operating now in a market where a lot of teams are, but there's a lot of players in that market. We're not operating in a market where they're having to spend silly money because they've not got that money to spend. So we're in a market, I wouldn't even say it's a middle of the road market, it's probably a lower end market. So we're having to sign younger guys with stuff to prove, or going for guys coming into their career for a bit of experience. So we can't really sign guys who are just about hit their peak because we don't get that money and we don't get a wage structure either. So I'm looking forward to the season, but I do agree that football's a strange game, and you yourself, there were only 2 defeats for a crisis, or 2 draws at Rangers for a crisis. So, and it depends what happens at the start. And as Robert says, and we all said last season, if you can't beat them, then there's not a lot of hiding place for you, and that's basically what is in this league. If you finish second, it's failure. So, but I think the board will look to see how he's doing, how the team's progressing, and how it's building. I think if they see positives, he may get longer than even if it's going pear-shaped, because the board are thinking you can't keep sack managers. I know that's not an excuse to keep them, but you can't either. So I think the board are giving them some leeway with all these signings, bringing in all these guys, and you see positivity coming. You think maybe another season, maybe another few months, but I think if it goes tits up straight away, I think it could be having problems. So, like yourself, it's just football, and it's a life at Rangers, isn't it? One week we're champions, as in Robert was singing last season when I told him not to. Remember, Robert? You're like, you're a shite bag, no singing. I never sung it. He didn't know what happened. Egg all over his face.
Ah, dear. Well, we're going to park Connor Barron there and shift gears a bit, Mark. It is obviously being widely reported that one Hamza Igamani, I think I've pronounced his name properly there, young Moroccan boy coming in, striker. It seems that he is en route to Glasgow as we speak. Another youngster on the books, Mark, this time a striker, but by all accounts, he's somebody that seems to be already have a fairly decent reputation, certainly in Morocco.
Yeah, he's like we're talking before we come on here. He's got a little bit about him that looks very similar to an ex-player. Even got an e-slide when he scores. So he's 40% there as far as the fan base are concerned, isn't he? So if he points to the deck, well, that's him 60% there. But no, listen, I think young boy, he looks very strong. He looks quite technical. He looks fairly quick, bullish. Looks as if he can finish as well. Same again, but none of us really know how good this boy is or how good he can be. I think that same as anything, I think he's a young boy that's going to come in for, I would say, as a project. Hopefully as a project, because I'm looking for a not as such a big name, but I'm looking for a tried and tested goal scorer that's going to come in and a good finisher that's going to be our number 1. So I'm thinking he's either number 2 or maybe number 3. This boy that's coming in. As I said, don't know much about him, but it's a wee bit strange the fact that we've got some bad news released from Rangers, and then all of a sudden we've said, oh hey presto, we've signed a player. There's another one en route. Funny that, isn't it? That whole it's been a bad news day, isn't it? That's what it says. Bad news day. Get some good stuff out to sweep over the bad stuff. So, but yeah, no, listen, all positive. Same again, young boy. Excuse me. Young boy, plenty of potential, bags of potential. By all accounts, he's one of the best players in Morocco at the moment. don't know anything about the Moroccan league, don't know the standard of the Moroccan league, but same again, wider net. Obviously, there's been a bit of homework done in this boy, so all good, as I said, all positive for me. We're heading in the right direction. We're trying to buy potential that's going to come in, hopefully kick on for a couple of years. We can sell them for big bucks. Whereas before, what we were doing was we were buying players that had potential, that have moved on for big money and not really done it. And we've thought we'll try and bring them in for a wee bit cheaper than what they've sold for before. We'll try and get a tune at them, and then hopefully we can sell them for more money. And that's not worth at all for us. It's probably been a disaster for us, and financially it's been a disaster for us. So I think that we're spending no hundreds and hundreds of money here. It's talk about $1 million, 1.5 million. Conor Barron's in for nothing. The centre half boy for AC Milan in for nothing. So we're not really breaking the bank here, and financially it's not a big massive risk. And that's us brought in 3 what we look at on paper as quality youth players that are just in that kind of cusp of first team football going to kick on. So listen, you can't go wrong with this. Even if as I said earlier, even if they don't make it, 50% of them don't make it. That 50% that do make it and kick on, you're going to get your rewards back for it. So, as I said, it's clever business. I don't really know much about the young boy, but for what I've seen, it looks as if there's definitely potential there.
It certainly does, Robert. I mean, a young striker, as Mark said, it's maybe not the out-and-out proven goal scorer that we're still potentially looking for. But I'm sure once he gets back off the plane for Germany, we'll be having a word. But for you, again, I can see this model that we're using to bring in the young players, and listen, he's impressed obviously in Morocco. This boy, what I'm seeing here on some of his stats, 16 goals at his club. He's made some appearances for their under 23 national team, and by all accounts, their national team managers had half an eye on him as well at times. And as a young player, that's potentially pressure. But does he come in for you as another sort of option in there alongside a Dessers and a Danilo potentially, and potentially another striker, assuming one of the two of the former go out the door?
Well, if you're going to use the same system as we used last season, then there's only one spot for grabs, isn't there? So you've got Dessers, Danilo, and then is Hamza can really come in and grab the jersey? I don't quite see it yet. He's not a name that I'm familiar with. If you look at Moroccans that have come to Scottish football in the past, I can remember Zamama at Hibs. He was a bit of a maverick on his day. So, if there's shades of him in him, then he'll do no bad. But no, I don't think this boy's going to be coming and starting 30, 40 games for us. You've got Danilo coming back for injury. You spent the guts of £7 million for him. He'll have a point to prove. Dessers, obviously not everyone's cup of tea, but scored over 20 goals last season. He'll not be chucking the towel in for the sake of a 20-year-old Moroccan. So it's all for Hamza to come in and prove, certainly.
Yeah, no, I would absolutely agree with that. Just JD saying that, I don't know if this is true or not because I'm not familiar with the Moroccan Football League, surprisingly. But supposedly he's already had a lot of pressure to win games at his current team, so maybe it might not be too much of a culture shock. I mean, look, you've got to, as we said with the Barron thing, it is just the young players that you've got to deal with, but there might be a difference for him coming from Morocco. I don't know how much he knows about the club, about Rangers, about Scottish football and everything that entails. As I say, I don't know a great deal about him either, but again, that's about, bedding him in and hopefully they can get him signed sooner than later. He can get a decent pre-season under his belt in and around the players that are there in the squad and, gel in. And as Robert said, be in there as another option because there's no way you're going to fire him in, 20, 30, 40 games. He will be a sub player, I reckon, for most parts of the season.
Listen, I know not a lot about the boy at all until I seen we were both signing him and I looked up YouTube like probably the majority of people did, and what you see on YouTube you think, it's decent, but YouTube can make me look decent. So listen, I don't know what he's like, but you obviously want to come up, you want to sign for Rangers, which is good. Nobody wants to use our league as a stepping stone to maybe the English league, because that's where the money is. So hopefully he does. Hopefully he comes, sets the hell on fire and we sell him for a lot of money, but along the way he wins some trophies. Listen, that's all we can do. We're signing all these young guys, and majority of them they come here to be here forever. Majority are coming and using it as a stepping stone, especially the foreign guys. They're using it as a stepping stone for England, because you look at Richies down in England, and I know money down there is obscene, but that's what a lot of these folk look at, because I think one move down to the Championship or even the Premiership, that's him set for life. And if I was a football player, I'd probably look down that way as well if I was coming for a lower league. So you're hoping to come to Rangers, and I don't care if you use a stepping stone, see if they win some trophies it is, and then we make 10, 5, 10, 50 million off these guys. I'm more than happy, because that's the way we have to go nowadays. So, like Mark said, nobody's going to set the hell on fire, but we've done enough homework on these guys that we've not just been like, we've just seen these guys over the last 72 hours and say, right, go and sign him, go and sign him. Obviously, been doing our homework since away probably middle of last season, been watching these guys, so we've just been quick off the mark. So, like I said, you hope they come in and do really well. That's all we can do, because a lot of these guys are coming we don't know a lot about, so we're just hopeful they do well, but we're hoping the club have actually looked at a lot of these players with good potential, and they can improve that and develop it, because I don't see spending a lot of money. We spent a lot of money last season. I know Michael Beale said they kind of broke even, but we spent big money on strikers. But even spending 7 million on guys like Daniel doesn't guarantee you goals. I know Dessler's got 20 odd, but doesn't guarantee you're going to be a success because you spend money on them. But I still see a few guys getting out the door to bring more money in. And I'll be seeing manager getting out later on. And remember, the window's open to the end of January, so no our signings have to be done before the season starts.
No, absolutely. And the thing is, Mark, I'll bring this to you. Williams made a point there, it's a fair point as well. Obviously, we'll have Zach Lovelace back, fit for pre-season. Hopefully, certainly will be back fit for the new campaign. I mean, looking at that, if we are to bring in the proven goal scorer that I think we all are desperate to do, then you imagine one of the strikers is going to have to move on to make way. Otherwise, we're going to have too many of them basically on the book. So, I mean, if we're up to you, if you were a betting man, who do you think could be moving on? Could it be a young guy like Zach Lovelace potentially that goes out the door, or might it be potentially a Dessers or a Daniel if the right offer come in?
If I was a betting man, it'd be Dessers. If I had to put my hard-earned cash on it, for me, Dessers, all right, for Rangers fans, a lot of Rangers fans, he's this, he's that, but you look at that on paper and stats, and a lot of clubs buy you on stats and on paper. A lot of clubs, that's the kind of model now that they look for. You look at 22 goals and 7 assists or something like that for the season. On paper, that's you at least getting your money back on him, as far as I'm concerned. So, for me, if I was a gambling man, I think Dessers would be the one that would go there. Would I sell him? No, I would keep him. He would be my second striker. I think that he'll bring something different. I think that for me, that probably all the kind of players that we've been linked to and stuff like that, the one that probably excites me the most is the boy Romani, the Kosovan boy. He looks as if he's got pretty much everything. He's fast. He's 6'2", great finisher. His link-up play that I've seen looks amazing. Great goal-scoring record, albeit in a not that great a league. But for me, he's an upgrade in what we've got. I think he's an upgrade in Dessers. Same again, young boy or not. I think he's 23 as well. So for me, obviously, I think that the problem is that they're squabbling about fees now, and I think that if you start squabbling about fees, then I think he's kind of coveted across Europe, this young boy. So I think if we start squabbling about fees and stuff like that, I think we might lose him. And for me, that's who I would want to come in. That's the only one that's really I've thought, you know what, he looks like a proper player. The other ones I'm 50-50, but I think that for me, he's the one that I would really like to see in the door, striker wise. But back to your original question, if I was a gambling man and one had to go, for me it'd be Dessers.
The Romani one, it's certainly the Neil Lennon shaped spanner got thrown into the works there as well, because obviously he took care of that club and made clear he wanted to keep him, which, listen, I'm sure they're perfectly good reasons why he wants to keep him at the club as well, but it's a natural thing. There'll be many determination if he's going to go to at least no sell him to Rangers. That's the world we live in the west of Scotland, unfortunately. But shifting gears then in the last portion, because there was a bit of unfortunate news that came out and amongst all the transfer stuff today. Robert, seems that there's been issues with we're getting some of the materials required for the new building, the Copeland stand. Obviously issues with suppliers and stuff, and looks as though at the start of next season, I think they're saying for about the first month, we potentially will not be playing home games at Ibrox. What's your sort of feeling on that? Is it that big of a deal? I know I've seen the Twitter discourse, people trying to parrot our stuff when we spoke about Dundee and that earlier in the season, but I mean, it's a totally different ballgame. This is stuff that's sort of out of our control. If your suppliers delayed or let you down, then you can't do much about it.
Listen, if rumours are to be believed, my good friend up above me there, he was saying that this was always going to be on the table. That there could be games played away for Ibrox at the start of the season. So, listen, massive storm in a teacup on a day where there's not much news. It makes big news. As long as they can get somewhere suitable to play, I think I was told Murrayfield's on the table, and that might be an option. So it just depends how many games we're going to play there and if they're going to be successful. I mean, we played at Murrayfield before and we've done okay. So I know also it was against Hearts because they were playing there, but certainly it's not like it's going to be a strange situation for supporters to have to go there. So and if you can make a little bit extra money off tickets and stuff, I know they'll probably want a fee for us playing there. But what can you do about it? It's kind of out your hands when you get builders in. Even if you get somebody to do an extension in your house, they'll tell you it's going to be 6 weeks and ultimately ends up 8, 9, 10 weeks. You know what builders are like. Sorry, boys, if anybody listens to a builder. It's just one of those things. So it's all for the greater good. Try to do something good, get a new disabled section. I'm sure it'll be worth it in the long run. You just hope that it doesn't hamper the European qualifiers, because they're obviously massive at the start of the season and you're straight into the thick of them as well. So hopefully the fans buy into it, everyone sells Murrayfield out for these qualifiers and we get the place rocking and we get through those, get the Champions League money secured, and then a couple of wins in the league, through in the League Cup, and before we know it, back at Ibrox like nothing ever happened.
Well, that obviously that's the hope, innit, Kerr? I mean, it's an unfortunate set of circumstances, and you'd always rather be playing competitive games at Ibrox. It's not so much a problem. I have no issue in terms of playing Manchester United at Murrayfield or anything like that. I'm sure you might even be going to that game, Kerr. But for me personally, that doesn't bother me. But could there be potentially an impact in the psychology in terms of when it comes to those European qualifiers, because we know what European nights at Ibrox can be like, and the cauldron and that atmosphere we can create, and although we can still create an atmosphere at Murrayfield, it's no, it's bigger, it's wider out, so it's not that same feeling of home and intimidation that you can potentially bring. So did you think that could potentially cause us an issue, as sort of Robert was alluding to?
Listen, it's always an excuse to use, isn't it? I'm not saying it only causes time, but it's always, listen, when you're not playing your home ground, it's always going to be an issue because that is your home ground. But Rangers did put a statement right out at the end of last season and said they'll get modern work going on. And if you did the second thing, we hopefully it's finished by the start of next season. So why would they say that? Because they always know themselves with builders. I mean, obviously they've got issues with steel coming over to China by all accounts, so that's not even here yet. So obviously it started it and then they'll get the pieces here to start. So obviously it's going to be an issue, but it was never going to be easy sailing because they're doing a lot of work to the ground in a very short space of time. So the contingency plans were always there. Just unfortunate Hampden's not available because of games, then concerts, and they're doing work. You can't go there. So it has to be Murrayfield, but they've obviously a good relationship with whoever own Murrayfield. We have a relationship with them because we've played a friendly with and been offered it. So I don't see it being too much. Obviously, you prefer to play your home games at home because that's obviously your stadium and you're more comfortable there. The players are, the fans there. But at the end of the day, it's all been there living on a park. and we've played at Murrayfield before. Robert says there's going to be more Rangers fans here anyway, so it shouldn't be too much out of comfort zone.
Mm-hmm. On the flip side of that, Mark, William makes an interesting shout actually. On the opposite side, that playing away from Ibrox in that early part could help a youthful side because, as William says, as we all know, because we've all sat in the stands there, Ibrox can turn toxic at times. You know, we've all been there 20 minutes, half an hour into a game, and it's 0-0, and a couple of wayward passes go by, and all of a sudden, you know, the crowd gets up in arms, and that will be easy for young guys having 50,000 fans having a pop at you. So, I mean, is there a potential for that on the flip side that it could help them settle, not having to deal with potentially deal with that?
I see what you're saying, but you 50, 51,000, 52,000 Rangers fans getting you stick. Now you're going to get 67,000 Rangers fans getting you stick, and it's the same fans. We're not going to travel to Edinburgh and all of a sudden get a wee bit less toxic and a wee bit more reserved because we're in Edinburgh. You know what I mean? So that's no, for me, that's a mute point. The other thing probably that I wanted to kind of mention was I've seen a lot of people going about, it's going to cost us money and this and that, and will it affect our budget for players and bits and bobs. Listen, seeing the building trade, right? See, especially something like Ibrox, it's time sensitive. There will be clauses in that contract stating if you don't hit X by this time, Z by that time, Y. Do you know what I mean? If you don't hit these markers and you don't make that, then you will need to fork us back X, Y, and Z amounts of money.
Got that, Mark, because they've stacked somebody the day because of it. So I think somebody did make a call.
No, but listen, see if they didn't, they're absolutely mad. And for me, that's something it's a bog standard thing. Especially if it's time sensitive, there should be penalties written into contracts for this. That you will not pay this, you will not pay that, or blah blah blah, X, Y, and Z. If it's not done in time, then you will pay back X, Y, or 20%, 15%, whatever it is. So I think for the money side of things, I don't see that being an issue because that to me is a bog standard. It's a bog standard, especially when you're building big, massive things. Obviously, we do it offshore as well, and probably the biggest one. One of my Rangers fans pals said to me that kind of runs the construction side of things offshore. He said that that's like us coming out to do a job and not having all the materials ready to rock and roll by the time we get here. So for me, that's an absolute travesty. I think that it's an absolute pardon my language, but a total fuck up. For me,
DHgate.
Say that again. DHgate.
I told them what to buy this deal to DHgate.
No, but I mean, in all seriousness, so for me, I'm not worried. The thing that worries me is the fact that all these new players aren't going to experience Ibrox for a month or so. And I don't think it's a massive deal. I think that you're probably going to get bigger crowds and more intimidating crowds because you're going to get 67,000 Rangers fans singing, shouting, bawling, making a racket. So for me, that's more intimidating than 52,000. So I don't see it as a big, massive problem. I think for the point of view of the financial side of things, I think that I would be absolutely flabbergasted if these clauses aren't in this the contract with the builders. I really would be because as I said, it's a bog standard thing. So for me, the only downside to this is that we're not going to get to Ibrox until end of August, maybe start of September, and all these boys that are going to sign for us aren't going to experience Ibrox until we get there. So for me, that's the downside. Kicking the balls, but I don't think financially, it's a big issue, and I think for the fans' point of view and the atmosphere point of view, you're going to have more Rangers fans making more noise. So I don't see it as any sort of a big issue.
No, fair point. WDB coming in there, place. I mean, obviously he's being sarcastic because that would be
He's a show your disco lights, mister.
Aye. Well, listen, I tell you what, they're the best atmosphere they've seen there in years. But no, I think that's the thing, Robert. I mean, Mark sort of stormed ahead of me. I like when people answer the questions. I have for them before I ask the questions. It's great. But with the financial side, obviously Mark's put the case there that hopefully shouldn't. And we know the finances are potentially a bit tighter. So it's just making sure that we don't allow the costs to spiral, albeit we can maybe offset some of that by getting extra gate money coming in at Murray Park, because obviously we're then going to have to pay, again, as Mark touched on, a fee to use Murray Park, Murrayfield, sorry, you'd imagine as well.
Listen, it looks to me like there's only one option on the table, okay? And we're in this situation now. We're going to have to run with it. We're going to have to soak it up. Any fees you can get back for builders and contracts, whatever, brilliant, a bonus. But I don't think John Bennett's going to be storming down to Phil Clamont's office in the morning and saying, we've got to play at Murrayfield, you better go and sell Raskin, or you better go and sell Dessers. Do you know what I mean? So I wouldn't worry too much there. The one for me that goes hand in hand with it, to go back to it, is the European stuff. If you're looking for a pot of money, that's what you've got to be chasing. So whether that's at Murrayfield, Ibrox, wherever it be, you've got to make sure you get the job done, and you're in that league format with the 8 games, because the noisy neighbours, they're in there. They're already boasting about how much is in the bank. They're ahead of us there. They're already boasting about players that they're going to sell for 20 to 35 million. They're ahead of us there. You let them get into this Champions League on their own, and they're going to just keep strolling and strolling. So it's very important that Clermont, navigates those. Whatever happens in the Champions League, that's that. But you've got to get in there and just get the riches and get out, as far as I'm concerned, and then concentrate on grabbing a hold of this league title and taking it back to Ibrox with its lovely new disabled section all finished and complete with its steel and what have you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just lastly here, but to wrap us up in time for the second half of the big matches on the now. Just for the fan perspective, I mean, you obviously the season ticket holder at Ibrox, you go most weeks. Clearly, I don't think it's any secret that going to Murray Park, I keep saying Murray Park, Murrayfield, dear me, going to Murrayfield, obviously supporters buses and things like that, I'm sure will still be going, but even in the ground when it comes to basic things like getting your pie and bottle at half time, I mean, it's no secret that they will take the piss price wise. Is that something that the club need to make sure as well, that the fans aren't being robbed by having to go there, because that is the extra travel time as well, and for those that maybe don't drive, that's maybe a train fare into Edinburgh or whatever. So just making sure we look after the fans who are going to travel there at the same time.
I mean, they could ask, but if you're hiring somewhere, I think you maybe put their own prices on for the food, couldn't you? But you never know. It's expensive everywhere you go for food and drink at a football match. I usually just take an apple myself because I'm a cheapskate, but
I was going to say, he takes a packed lunch.
I've seen him. He can peel an orange in his pocket, man. I've seen him.
Take an apple and then I'll pick it and mark when I'm finished. No, I take an apple with me. I've done it for years now, I'll still do it. So, listen, the fans might not be happy with it going, but there's fans travel everywhere. A lot of Edinburgh based Rangers fans will be happy to get moved there because they don't have to travel to Glasgow and vice versa. But it's no matter where Rangers go and play, they'll fill the stadium anyway. So, I don't think it really matters. The only thing, I'm a big fan of Murrayfield. I've been in a few times and I don't like it. I know a lot of folk rave about it, but I don't like it. And I don't think it's great. Parking wise, it's really busy because of where it is, but I don't think the stadium's that great for football. But that's just my opinion.
No, well, fair enough. And we'll wrap it up there, boys. It has been a pleasure. We will be back on Sunday with a random rabble. So if you think we talk some amount of pish on here, wait till you see the random rabble. That is no holds barred.
Best show of the week, Connor. Best show of the week.
Is that, Robert? Is that on Sunday morning? Is it?
11 a.m. start, bright and early. Early bird catches the worm. Come and have a chat with us. Aye, it'll be a good hour.
There you go. Get your fry up, your coffee, and your dose of rabble. Dear me. Aye, and on that, all that remains for me to say is like and subscribe, and to thank my guests, Kerr, Mark, Robert. Pleasure, and we'll see you on the next one.